So I just watched Hell's Paradise for the first time, and I gotta say, it did not disappoint. A main character that resembles Kakashi Sensei's appearance with his white hair and a mask to cover his face, along with his shinobi skills and being taught to have no emotions. I knew this anime was going to be good. Was it because we saw two beautiful ladies kissing each other romantically? Hell yeah! Was I expecting it? No, not really. But what baffled me a few seconds later was their ability to switch genders and transform into a masculine man. I really didn't know how I was feeling at this point, but it was chaotic. But before we get into any of that crazy nonsense, let's start at the beginning and how we even got here. Gabimaru is a shinobi known as Gabimaru the Hollow who is voided of all emotions. He's lived a blood-soaked life and ultimately comes to terms that he deserves to die. His backstory begins after being captured and sentenced to death for trying to leave his clan, but no matter what execution they throw at him, he can't seem to die. I knew this character was going to be cold when they tried the method of attaching two bulls to his legs to split him in half, but his physical strength was off the charts. No, but seriously, his body seemed almost indestructible, but despite his claims of not wanting to live, he continues to resist himself from dying. I mean, these dudes had no options left, so they go out and decide to recruit a member of an executioner's clan, Sigiri Yamada Isamon. They're a clan of master swordsmen who can behead a target with a single blow. He felt his life flash before his eyes, and if anyone can end his life, it's her. He really doesn't understand why he's fighting to live at this point, but becomes reminded of the person he might be leaving behind if he's executed. It's creative in a way how much his wife plays an important role to Gabimaru's feelings, because she's teaching someone with no emotions on how to love and care for others. If he is ever going to have a chance to live peacefully with his wife again, he must risk death and accept the condition of traveling to the underworld. It has also taken the name Paradise or Heaven. But how can a place be both paradise and the underworld at the same time? Questioning his will to live because of the love for his wife, he's offered a pardon from the shogun that will clear him of all of his crimes. We get a very important flashback of the shogun sending multiple parties to this place to receive an item called the Elixir of Life that will grant immortality. Each expedition that was sent out, not one person made it back alive. Human bodies turning into flowers sounds like a fantasy in a place that was told to be without pain and brimming with joy. A mystical adventure, and I was like, man, this can't be that bad traveling to this mysterious island to have a chance to get rid of all of your crimes. Now, a plan has been devised, although it wasn't planned to perfection. Instead of beheading criminals for their outrageous crimes, let's gather them in one place and give them the ability to travel to this unknown island. This will give not just Gabimaru, but everyone the chance to receive a pardon that will clear them of all their crimes, but this sounds almost too good to be true. To keep them in check, they will be assigned monitors, or Yamada Isamon, to keep them from escaping or trying anything suspicious. They are criminals for a reason. But what I loved even more was the idea to trim the fat and have the criminals fight an all-out battle to the death. Want to make it a bit more interesting? No one is allowed to untie their hands. A pure bloodbath and chaos awaiting to happen. Specific ones start to stand out, especially the ones that are marked with red seals. A hot-headed blondie who led a bandit village deep in the mountains despite his very young age. A kunoichi who participated in an invasion and single-handedly neutralized every single target. And a massive swordsman who is unparalleled in 8 provinces. The most famous one, Gabimaru, doesn't seem to want to fight this battle, believing there's another way to decide who goes despite his notorious background. Does being a murderer mean you wanted to be one? Pointless killing and talking can't be seen within these criminals, but if his life is at risk, then he can't afford to die and will seek to murder everyone he comes across. A true sight to behold into Gabimaru the Hollow, a barbaric monster. With 10 criminals left, the expedition party has been formed and the members have been chosen. Boarding a ship and sailing to this island to find the Elixir of Life to be set free, being told that there is no danger there. Paradise awaits. This is very hard to believe, especially when they show that their sergeant has bloomed with flowers and lost his humanity while the rest of the party is all dead. So you're left with 2 options, either die by the executioners or risk your life at this island told to be paradise. On arrival, the plant life on the island is almost magical in a way, but it wouldn't make sense for it to be naturally occurring. Something feels awfully wrong here. We see that the criminals have decided the best course of action is to get rid of all the other criminals. What does this mean exactly? This will allow them to secure the pardon for themselves. The first fight we get is between Gabimaru and Twisted Keiun, one of the condemned criminals. This was a mockery, a beatdown like you've never seen. He was just toying with the guy, launching the 1-ton sumo wrestler in the air and making quick work of him, with his hands still being tied, mind you. A big twist of events you probably weren't expecting. A few hours later, we will witness a ton of deaths, and I mean a lot. A twist no one would have seen coming. Criminals betraying their executioners, criminals betraying killing other criminals or the executioners murdering their assigned criminals. There are no rules on this island. Find the elixir and bring it back. Everything else can come after that. I personally thought the Yamada Isamon were going to be a bit stronger considering that they are executioners, but I don't think they have any combat experience. At this point, everyone is getting sent to die. Gabimaru wants to betray Sagiri after finding out that his clan will soon arrive on the island. This is the worst that could possibly happen. His relationship with his wife keeps him from being the same hollow person he used to be, ultimately saving her life. Learning the mysteries behind this island won't be without a fight, which begs the question whether or not the monsters are even real. Is this island a paradise, or are they walking into a death chamber? Gabimaru teams up with Yozuriha's group and gathers some helpful information. They shouldn't be concerned with the monsters, but rather the bugs, especially the human-faced butterflies that can inject poison into their victims fairly quickly. Another pair to keep in mind are the two brothers. They were personally my favorite characters in the anime because they would go through hell and back for each other. They have both the brains and the bronze. A vigorous barbarian who is able to adapt to any problem, an expert in changing and assessing the situation. On the other hand, his intelligent sibling who infiltrated the Yamada clan and ranked up in a month to get them here. On this dangerous island, the threat here is too high and the weak will soon be rooted out, but what about the leftover survivors? Well, they will have to rely on the others for help. They come up with the idea to take some time to think about what's going on and discuss any findings they may have found on the island. Is the statues that lie here made up of clay or stone, and if so, who made them and do they still live here? A ton of questions and yet no answers. Now mind you, it hasn't even been a day but merely a few hours on this paradise and more people have died than most anime. The major question you might be thinking is, why don't they attempt to leave the island? Although it's not that simple of an answer, anyone who tries to leave meets a death unimaginable as all the water currents float towards the island and the abandoned ships left behind surround it. In other words, you're not going to make it out of here alive. Tensen and Noragai have a special bond as Noragai isn't actually a criminal but innocent. We get a detailed flashback of her being captured by samurais after leading them into her village and wants to die because of it. Tensen convinces her to have a will to live and they just barely make it back on the island alive. Teams are slowly forming and there might be a bit of romance in the process while trying to survive this nightmare. Criminals and executioners, your closest ally might be your biggest enemy. Who knows? Raguota, the giant abysm with eyes of a predator who just located his prey. First of all, how did this 20 feet giant beast launch a surprise attack on you and somehow manage to get hit? There's no way you didn't hear his big ass footsteps coming towards you. At that point, I'm also leaving you behind. You cannot ask me for help with everything that's already going on. I already didn't like the fact in the previous episode he was telling Sagiri that it's too dangerous and should depart from the island because of her lack of skills, yet was able to disarm him in a split of a second. This criminal brute was throwing forest trees with one hand, the palm of his hands could end your life, and projectiles don't seem to work on him. If range attacks aren't working and getting too close is risky, it's the ultimate defense. The only way this is going to work is to slice through his bones and decapitate him, leaving it to the Yamada Isamon and her specialized beheading skills. In these moments is when Gabimaru shines. You can tell things are getting serious when he puts his mask on. His ninjutsu is astonishingly surprising to watch within each scene, and I love every moment of it. Gabimaru and Sagiri have a bonding moment here when they defeat Raguota, making me think if Sagiri has feelings for him or if Gabimaru has feelings for her despite him having a wife. It's just a thought right now, although it becomes more evident as time goes on. We are encountered with some new characters as Gabimaru feels he's being watched and mean important kid, but there's something unique about her. Don't let it fool you that this kid put him straight on his ass and realizing she doesn't just have physical strength but something different. The bonsai protecting the girl plays a vital role into getting them into the next region where this elixir, if real, can be found and guides them to the village that he lives in. Unknowing that the information being provided is truthful, the Tensen that they will encounter will prove this phenomenon of eternal life. Now I can finally talk about the good part, finding two women loving on each other, only to discover that they aren't women but men, or both. I don't know, I'm very confused. We see the crazy regeneration powers of the Tensen and these brothers put up an insanely good fight, but it wasn't even close. They're ultimately going up against gods, perfect beings that can't be touched, undying and dangerous. The Tensen just straight throw them in a pit filled with humans who have bloomed into flowers and rooted into the soil, but homeboy was like, hell nah, we ain't dying today, especially not here. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect this anime to be even good, but it was passing my expectations in every way, especially how quickly we connect with the characters within a short amount of time. Tensen and Noragai start having a passionate conversation about getting married and their future together, but then another Tensen pulls up having happen to ruin absolutely everything. I couldn't tell you how annoyed I felt of these Tensen. Being immortal with no counterplay, no matter how hard you try, is irritating. They meet up with a high-ranking Yamada Isomon who takes the name Shon. If you see a blind man with white hair, just run. There's a reason why he has lived for so long despite not being able to see. The odds against him are too underwhelming after a swift attack leaves the sensei vulnerable, and Tensa, with his overconfidence, sacrifices his life for his loved one and master. This episode was peak. Even with 4 holes through his chest, he did whatever it took to buy them enough time to get away. The potential this man could have had if he lived would have been too crazy to handle. They had to get rid of him. Seeing his lifeless body lie there and one of the Tensen throwing his lifeless body to the ground, I was patiently waiting for someone to compete with these powerhouses, and the time couldn't be any more perfect. It is the middle of the night and we set our eyes upon a gate that is clearly man-made, leaving questions still unanswered. The Tensen from earlier soon arrives, and I honestly couldn't wait for this battle to start. Gabimaru instantly broke this dude's wrist, followed it up with a leg kick that twisted his neck, and this monster healed without even thinking about it. I was expecting this fight to be S tier when he told him to hold up and hit him with the 1-2 leg kick again and some Ninpo to set him ablaze. Funny enough, yeah, that wasn't going to be enough to end this fight that early. I really thought I knew who was going to win this fight considering one person is immortal, but this fight was closer than originally expected. This is a battle of endurance, but a ranged air attack that cannot be seen is nearly impossible to even dodge. The only countermeasure is to trade attacks and destroy the body faster than it can even heal. Gabimaru really put this dude in checkmate until he transformed into, I don't even know what to call this abomination of a creature. They already have godlike powers, the scales just keep tipping in their favor. Bro was getting beat up so bad that he started to dream because he knew he might not make it out of this alive. One of the most badass moments of the series, we are told what Shinobi rule number 20. When facing certain death, you must draw out whatever life you have left to deal as much damage as possible before dying, but he's been taught that instinctively. Mei shows up at the perfect time to save his life, and they both retreat from this battle. We get our first look at all the Tensen together, and their character models are all so unique. The transformation you saw before during the fight is called Kishikai, and they regenerate their bodies using their Tao. The liquid the Tensen can be seen drinking out of is a colorful substance that might be the elixir of life, rumored to grant immortality. Things start to get a bit interesting because upon waking up, Gabimaru stumbles across another one of the groups we saw earlier who suffered a tragic injury from the bugs on the island. He's already pretty banged up, and fighting even more, well, that would put him in worse shape, so he surrenders and provides them with the information they needed. Remember them brothers from earlier? Yeah, that wasn't the last time you were gonna see them. They climbed out of that death hole, and this bandit king wants his payback as soon as possible. They encounter a doshi. Now these are servants of the Tensen that serve as their right-hand man. He tells the duo to go back in that hole, and yeah, they aren't gonna hear any of that nonsense. Chobi tells his brother to go handle the small fry while he deals with the doshi, but his careless and cocky behavior gets his neck snapped in seconds. If anyone was gonna get superpowers, it was going to be Chobi. He's the type of side character that should have been the main character. His aura is just too strong. Chobi is not afraid of death, and after gaining the ability to regenerate broken body parts and finding out how to detect Tao, it's over for this doshi. He was quickly picking up on these secrets and using them fully to his advantage. His brother was noticing that he was slowly changing. I'm not sure if he was losing his humanity or what might be happening, but for now he seems fine. Gabimaru is trying to figure out how Tao works and are encountered by doshi who capture Mei. There's a detailed explanation on how Tao works within 5 steps, but what we are concerned about is the 5th step. Living creatures possess either yin or yang ki, and through intercourse they are able to heighten their Tao, and Mei's yin ki is of the highest quality. In other words, she escaped because she didn't want to be used as a training partner. Completely understandable. The air starts to vibrate, and this is the first time we see Gabimaru get serious due to his emotions. To see a representation of Tao, one's mind must be both strong and weak at the same time. Without both strength and weakness, it can't be detected. I love this moment because Gabimaru is purely strength, but throughout his time with Sagiri, he develops emotions that make him weak. Now, there is no possible way for the doshi to win at this point, and they are both eliminated at the same time. With the help of Hoku, the rest of the group make it to the second layer of the island and are confronted by Junjun, one of the Tensen. I wasn't expecting him to tell us that the island is made for experiments and the people that come here are test subjects. Oh yeah, and the elixir of life, it's not real. At least that's what he's letting on. Yozuriha uses her Ninpo that we didn't get to see earlier, and her ninjutsu was stronger than I thought. She swallows a vial that contains poison and secretes it into her skin. Ninjas always have some crazy ass design that I seem to enjoy. Unfortunately, nothing happens until Sagiri is able to wound him, preventing him from from regenerating. Her Tao is poisonous and can only increase it temporarily. For a brief moment, it seems the battle is won after a strike to the tendon, which Tao originates and travels through the body. Around this time, Senta saves Yuzuriha, and oh man, this was sad. It took only 2 days for an executioner to save the life of a criminal as his body slowly blooms into a flower. At this point, I was thinking, man, this is impossible. They're done for. Especially the soundtrack they were playing, it was just straight cold and all thoughts of winning were just lost. After the Tensen transformation, Sean shows up in the last second to save them both. Since Sean is blind, he completely relies on his Tao to fight, so in a way, he's already mastered it. This isn't gonna be enough for him to win this fight, but Yuzuriha is like, nope, not happening. I'm out of fuel and want to live. This fight was honestly so hype, and Sean gets a major increase to his Tao because of Tensen's sacrifice and focuses his power into one clean blow. We finally get a win, but it's the end of Senta's journey. I love that Yuzuriha was the one to comfort him during his death because he slowly started to grow feelings for her due to her carefree nature. It was just perfect. It doesn't matter who's a criminal or not, if they're gonna make it off this island, they will have to do so together. There's a problem though. If the elixir of life isn't here, the Shogun won't accept excuses, but Gabimaru's village chief was immortal, so surely it's here, right? What if that was just an illusion? They start to hint that Gabimaru's wife might not even be real. His story doesn't make any sense. Has anyone seen his wife? What is her name? Gabimaru awakens from passing out, and it seems he has completely lost his memory. Tao represents your very life force, and if you use too much, it could create mental or physical changes and can affect one's memories. This was the biggest twist because it was only his first time using Tao, which begs the question if he will ever get his memory back. For now, he decides to play along as if nothing happened. The anime was extremely underrated that I had to binge watch it all in one day, although the end of it had me randomly questioning everything. It has already been explained that the overuse of Tao can affect one's memory, so I highly doubt that Gabimaru will ever get his memory back. This means that everything after his encounter with Sagiri doesn't exist. If the elixir is not on the island, what is the next course of action? If the elixir is real and they do manage to find it, can it be used on those who have previously died like Tensa? His death for some reason feels so out of place since he had such an amazing backstory and his relationship with Noragai was so strong. I haven't read the manga, but there are rumors that the anime will be getting a second season next year, and I honestly cannot wait. If you haven't watched Hell's Paradise and this sounded at all interesting, I suggest you give it a watch. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.